Sam.
Mr. President, the white minority government of South Africa has now effectively banned activities by dissenting organizations, even when those activities are peaceful. What is your view on that, and what can you do, if anything, to reverse it?
Well, the State Department has already contacted them about that, and we are making our own feelings clear that they should be working toward a multiracial democracy and not oppressing organizations, political organizations there, and we've made our feelings clear about that.
Well, sir, may I follow up? Have you considered sending aid to the freedom fighters, the ANC or any other organization, against this oppression, just as you send aid to other freedom fighters around the world?
No, we have not involved ourselves in that, other than things such as the sanctions and so forth. We have tried our best to be persuasive in this very difficult problem and to find or to encourage a better solution.
What's the difference, sir?
Well, the difference is that we don't have an armed insurrection going as we have in some other countries, and we have a great division even among the people who are being oppressed. It is a tribal policy more than it is a racial policy, and that is one of the most difficult parts here.
Mr. President, throughout your administration, when members of your cabinet or members of the administration have been accused of any kind of wrongdoing or simply of bad judgment, it's been your policy generally to say nothing. Is your loyalty more important to you than the perception that the members of the government must be above reproach?
No, Bill, and I have to say that I do not favor violations of ethics or laws or at all in or out of government. But I do want to call your attention to one thing. I think, and this has gone on pretty much throughout the time that I've been here, that there is a kind of lynch mob atmosphere that takes place. And people are, the memories are there of this person, that person, and so forth, but no attention is paid to the fact of how many of them, when it actually came to trial, was found to be totally innocent. But in the meantime, they have been smeared nationwide, and it's very difficult for people to remember what the outcome was. They only remember the other of the, in other words, guilt was by accusation and not by actual trial and conviction. And I could call to your attention to Ray Donovan, Jim Beggs of the space program, both of them totally cleared of any wrongdoing whatsoever. And this has been true of a great many others. But those that were doing something wrong and were apprehended and it was proven on them, they're no longer with us.
Well, sir, people have asked if, as in the case of the Iran-Contra affair, when the committee which investigated it said that, noted that you never condemned the actions of those members of your staff who were involved, the question was raised whether your silence meant that you did not find their actions objectionable.
No. When they came under the judgment of the law and the judgment was made, and great regret if someone was guilty of wrongdoing, but they were punished accordingly. Yes.
Mr. President, what are you doing to make things easier for our corporations to trade with the Soviet Union in non-strategic items such as food processing, pharmaceuticals, automotive and hotels, for instance? And do you believe the Soviet Union should join GATT, the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs? And will you discuss these and other trade items with Mr. Gorbachev in your forthcoming summit?
Well, I can't relate to you discussions about those particular things with him, but I do know that there has been consideration of them involving themselves in the GATT procedure, and that, of course, is being reviewed among those of us who are participants now. But I don't know whether that answers your question or not, but our trade with the Soviet Union is restricted mainly on the basis of where we might be giving them technology and information that is could be used one day against us. Yeah.
Mr. President, I know you have to remain neutral in the Republican race, but you could clear up a major issue right now. by telling us whether George Bush, in fact, did have reservations about the sale of arms to Iran, whether he had reservations about Israel's role in that policy, and whether, in fact, he's telling the truth when he tells us that he did have those reservations.
Yes, in the general discussion, and that's not unusual here, I've ordered our people on cabinet matters or anything else that I want to hear what they really feel. I don't want to be surrounded by yes men. And yes, there were reservations, but I'm not going to go into, just as he didn't go into the private discussions that we may have had. But I think it's time for me to point out what the opposition was based on of anyone who did oppose. Particularly, it's been revealed that Secretary Weinberger and George Shultz both objected. They did not object the idea that we were trading arms for hostages. Their objection, they knew what we were trying to do. This had been a request that came to us from some people, not in the government of Iran, but who wanted to privately meet with us on how there could be a better relationship if and when the day came that there was a new government in Iran. And if you'll remember, back in those days, almost every other day, there was speculation that the health of the Khomeini was failing to where there might be this contest for a new government. Their objection was what we had done. We'd gotten this request, and in dealing with it, in this conversation with these private individuals, we pointed out our feelings about terrorism and so forth. They agreed with us. And the thing was that the Hezbollah, as we know, is philosophically attuned to Iran. The idea was that they could perhaps influence the Hezbollah to give up some of our hostages. And indeed, as the talks went on, they did. We got 2 of them free. But their objection was that if and when this became known as it would be made to appear that we were trading hostages for, or arms for hostages. Now, we were giving these arms to these individuals because we felt that maybe they could influence the Hezbollah. We weren't dealing with the kidnappers at all. And this was what the whole situation was. But it turned out that George and Cap and those who had doubts were right in that when it did become known by way of a henchman of the Ayatollah, then everyone just automatically said it, and to this day are saying it was arms for hostages.
On the